So last activity we should discuss now, additional column. Okay. Now let's go to the use case once again. Let me publish the previous changes. Okay. So in the meanwhile, what I'm going to discuss is about additional column. So what do you mean by additional column? So if the column is, because we are doing a copy activity, correct? You know the meaning of copy activity is nothing but moving the data from one storage to another storage. So it could be of your storage account, and we are testing with the help of file system, right? So we have some files present in our input container, and we have another container which is known as output container, right? So there are list of files available, file 1 till, right? And sometimes we are storing these multiple files into single file with the help of merge option that we have also seen that. Agree? And we can have all the list of 8 different files storing as 8 different files in the output container. So we have checked both the options. Now while moving the data from here and there, for example, if you are moving file 1 from input container, okay, to output container, Azure has given you the flexibility to go with some additional information, additional columns. And what kind of additional column it is? For example, you are extracting this data from input container, which is named as PBI input. Okay, PBI input. This is the name of your input container. Agree? So during execution, right? So if my file is having some information, for example, my file is having some student name information, correct? Or this is student data, imagine. Student name, class, roll number, subject, marks, these are the columns. But at the same time, I want to, for my future reference, I want to see that this was coming from which container or which path, file path, you can say. File path means earlier it was coming from which path. So I want to store this. So this additional column can be added, which will help me to identify what is the path. What was the path? The path was PBI input. Right. It can also help me to store the pipeline information. Means I'm using an ADF pipeline, right? To move the data from input container to output container. The name of this ADF pipeline is pipeline 1, something like that. So it will also store the pipeline information. Okay. Or else it will also store the additional column. For example, if you want to create any column with known as country, and you want to feed the data as India, right? So it can also store the, and it can make an additional column, and it can also help you to create the data. So the crux part is copy activity will give you this option of additional column. Understood? Now how we will do this exercise? First of all, we will have an input, container filled with one file. Okay, which is nothing but a sales file, which we are using. Now, instead of output container, this time I'm using SQL database, right? Because we have done so many exercises using file system, and file system is easy, right? Now I want to use some SQL DB, okay, so that it will give more knowledge and experience to you guys. Okay, now, okay, it's taking time to publish. It's done. Okay, so once it is, so let me close everything to make it clean. So I'm going to first prepare my input. I will start from input. Okay. So let's go with this input. This is having these many files. Okay. Or let me quickly create a separate container, right? So we can say that uh, input 1, something like that. Okay. I created a separate container. And in this separate container input 1, what I'm going to do, I'm going to download or upload, sorry, not download, upload a file. And you can see Where could be my file present? Let me search any file. So let's download this only. Okay. So I will upload it. So finally, this is the file. Let me check the data within this file. I can go to edit. I can check the column. So how many data is present? It's a 20 records is sufficient for my demonstration purpose. So these many things. Now previously when I showed you the use case where we have loaded the data from CSV file to SQL database, we have created SQL table by some create statement, right? Now this time I want to show you the functionality of auto create, because I told you that point of time that in future there is a no need to create the table first. We can auto create also, right? So today we are going to see this. Now going to new pipeline once again, and what I will do, I will create a pipeline and the pipeline name will be PL underscore. Okay. What I should name? I should name as hmm, okay, additional column. Addition, additional. Okay. So we are demonstrating additional column. So I just renamed it like this that way. What I will do, I will create a copy activity, and again the same story. If you want to make some logical description, you can do that. Copy data for additional column. I will hit on source and I will create what could be my source, because we are reading the file from storage account, and storage account stores the file. Right now these containers are having file system, so we are using this Azure Data Lake Gen 2. Okay, and because this is a CSV file only, so we can go with binary also, but let's have it CSV, because right now we are pointing to one specific file, that is CSV. Okay, so what I will do, I will just enter ds underscore sales file or something like that. And I know this is my AD less than 2. I will point to the specific file. My file is present in this input 1. So I'm going to select the CSV file. Okay. First row is header, obviously. And I will use this. This is the right import schema option. So would come from, connection only. So I will hit OK. Got it. So let's wait for this to be completed. It's taking time. So now you can see that data set is created. Okay. Uh, which is pointing to my file sales one. And if you see the last column, this is known as additional column. Okay. But without using this additional column, let's go to sync. And in the sync, what we will do, we will create another data set. Now this time, as I told you, I'm not going to, generate output in any container in file system. I want to generate output in SQL database, some table. Okay, so I'm going to select the SQL table. So what I will do, I will just put ds underscore SQL underscore sales file, something like that, right? And what link services? SQL link services will be used. So right now it is asking for table, right? But I have not created any table, right? So I cannot select that. So what I should do, I should hit on enter manually, right? So it is asking for table name. Okay, so let me first open this SQL database. So this is the SQL database, and I have to open the query editor. And in this, I have to enter the password. I don't know why I have not logged in. Let me check. Yeah, fortunately, I get inside the. So these are the three tables. So I have not created any table. And as I informed you that in the beginning that I'm not going to create the table this time. I'm allowing my Azure Data Factory pipeline to create the table on runtime basis. Okay. So what I did, what schema name I should given. So schema name should be DBO because this is a schema name, this is a table name, right? So same way we have to write DBO as a schema name. And what table name I want to create? I want to create table name with sales file, right? Simply. And I will hit on OK. Okay, sorry. It should be none. I forget, right? So as I told you, whenever we are because we are not importing any schema, we are not, you know, for generating an output, there should always be a none. Okay. Any questions, guys, so far? Okay. So let's first execute this pipeline. I have not used any additional column feature so far because I want to first generate these things. So guys, I will go inside the sink. I will check this out. Okay. And this looks fine because I am using existing table option, right? But in this data set, if you see the data, this table name is given, that is fine, right? But it is trying to the pipeline is understanding that it is existing table because I have not used this checkbox. So you have to use this auto create table option. You got it? This was the issue. So let me debug once again. This time it is succeeded without any error. So what I should do? I should refresh here this SQL DB, and as soon as I refresh, I can see one new table will appear. This is the new table, correct? So let me select star from sales file, right? So I will hit this. You can see, you can just make it maximize. You can see that data is coming as it is, like region, country, item type, sales channel, order priority, order date, order ID, ship date, blah blah things, right? Okay. So till the time you are here with me, the same exercise you have done this before. You are simply copying the input file and storing the data in SQL database table. But this time what is new? This time you are auto creating that table. And you are not writing any script or creating the table in advance, but you are auto creating a table. Correct? So now what we will do, if I have to run this again, what will happen, guys? Again, new entries will be inserted, right? So it will be duplicate, it will be triplicate. So what I will do, I will use pre-copy script to delete the data. But this time I will not only delete the data, but I will delete the entire table also. Because what I'm doing now, what I'm going to do now is I'm trying to create additional columns. Okay. In this exercise, I'm trying to create additional columns. And what kind of column it would be? I'm trying to create a, file path name. I'm trying to create a pipeline name. column. Okay, I'm trying to create a country name column. Correct. We will see what all options are coming with this additional column feature. So if I'm creating an additional column, that means my SQL table structure will also be changing. Because right now in my SQL table, what is the SQL table generated so far? SQL table generated is sales file, right? Now SQL table is having a column name like region, country, and so many other columns are there. But if I'm giving instruction to my pipeline to create an additional column, then additional column will be added here also, right? Like file path will be added here, correct? And file name would be added, sorry, pipeline name would be added here, pipeline. Okay, country will be added here. So my table is will become invalid. So what will happen? Before running this pipeline, I should drop a table. So this time I am not dropping a data, but I am dropping the table. Make sense? Okay. So if you are not well versed with SQL, what you will do, you will go to Google and find out some W3. You can use W3 school also, or you can see what is the SQL command to drop the table. So I know, but I am just showing you how to do that. So if you see, it's a simple command: drop table and table name. Agreed? So if I write the same thing here, like drop table, and what's the name of my table? You can just copy from here. This is the name of your table, sales file. Okay. So what will happen if you use this sales file? Okay. Now this time it will drop the table. So anyway, I'm going to publish this first of all. Or you can avoid publishing right now. Okay. Let's do some more changes. Okay. So what is the next change? Next change is you have to go inside the source, and within source, if you come to the bottom, there is a option name as additional column. So I'm talking about this. If you put the cursor on this icon, it will give you the option add additional data column to store source file. For example, relative path, static value expression, right? So whatever I have mentioned, it is saying the same thing. If you want to learn, you can hit on this link and you will learn more about this. Okay. So if any feature you want to learn, you can put on this icon and there will be a link if there is any, documentation is available for that. So I will hit on plus icon. Now I will scroll down. So let me maximize this. So I will hit on this arrow to expand. Now I can see this. What is the additional column? So it is what value it is? It is having file path. So file path, as I mentioned you, what options are coming? File path is coming. The meaning of file path is it will add a column which will give you from where this data has originated, right? What is the name of the path? Okay. Custom simply means that it will give you any expression you can write. You can put like a plus b, or you can give any formula. Then file name, what is the name of the file? For example, my file name is sales file 1, so file name will come like sales file 1. Then it will come with any column. If you want to add any column from this source, it is nothing but duplicate the existing source column it has mentioned, right? And add dynamic content. So in dynamic content, I want to name the any dynamic content, like UTC. Now what is the current date? It's a dynamic content, correct? Like this. So one by one I'm going to create all the columns. Like I will create this file path. Okay, simple. So it will create the file path for me. Okay, so time is very less, so I'm going to create the additional column one, and not single time, but all the additional column right now. So the next additional column I'm going to create is, just a second. Okay, the file name. So I will use this file name option. I will hit on plus icon once again. So this is the plus icon. This is the plus icon. The third column which I want to add here is I want to, duplicate any column. So I want to duplicate any column. So which column I want to duplicate? So this will give you option what all columns are there in this one. Okay. Okay. So actually this is very problematic. Okay. Because you will not get. Okay. So, okay. I press downward. So I want to duplicate region basically. Right. And I can rename this as new region, something like. Okay. So next column which I want to generate is custom. So custom means I want to create a column like currency, something like that, currency. Okay. And I can write anything here. Okay. So in currency, I can write like INR, like that. So for all the entries, INR will be generated. Let's create one more column. And this time what I'm going to use, I'm going to use a dynamic expression. Okay. Add dynamic content. So in this dynamic content, what I can do, I can use any system variable. So I want to, you give a pipeline name. So pipeline name is what is the pipeline from which this data has generated in SQL. So it's a dynamic, right? So I will rename this as a pipeline name. Okay, making sense? So these are the additional columns I'm going to use now. Now what I will do, I will go to mapping, or let's first create this, then we will come to this. Okay. So let's debug the same exercise. So what debug will do, first it will run the pre-copy script, and what in pre-copy script we have mentioned drop the table, right? So what debug will do, it will first drop this table, right? It will first drop this table and it will recreate this table with all the list of additional columns that we have given, and it will fill the data, right? Is it making sense? It succeeded, fortunately. Okay. So now what we can do, we can run this again. And if we run this again, we will see all the additional columns. Now see this. What is the file name, guys? File name column we have used, file path we have used. So file path is again sales file 1.csv, right? File name is also sales1.csv. Region, new region is nothing but it has copied the existing column of region, right? And if you want to give any further things, so this region is again duplicated, right, with a new column which is known as new region. Currency we have hard coded it for INR, so it is done. Now pipeline name was a dynamic content, so this was a name of pipeline that we had given, PL underscore pipeline, right? And you can see that this is these are the things, this table is automatically generating. There is a no need for do any create script, right? Interesting. So this is the feature of additional column, how to generate. Okay. Now I'm doing one more interesting thing here. What interesting thing? I want to, because I don't want to see this pipeline name at the end. I want to see the pipeline name for file path, file name in the beginning, right? So how I can do this? Got it? So this also we can achieve. How we can do this? We'll hit on this copy activity. and we will go to mapping this time. We will hit on import schema and we will hit on OK, right? So what will happen? It will give me the mapping. So far, I have explained you can do any number of things. For example, if you want to delete any column, you can select and delete that also. I don't want to delete anything, but you can do this. You can rename these columns. Okay. And what you can do, you can move these columns to any location. For example, I put my cursor here and this dots has come. I will just drag this upward, upward, upward. Okay. So because, okay, let me first do this way. I will put my cursor here, hit that, and I will going to drag this upward like this, right? I will keep it before region pipeline. For example, I want this file name or file path also should go on the top. Then I can drag this on the upward. Okay. After file path, I want to put that. Okay. After file pipeline name. Got it? So you can see at the bottom it is mentioned it is additional. Okay, so whatever additional column you are creating, it will be mentioned at the bottom, right? So if I again debug it, what will happen? It will again drop your table as per the pre-copy script and it will recreate that table with new structure now because we have moved some of the columns in the beginning, right? So it will do like that way. So let's wait for this to be completed, then we will see the results. So succeeded. So now it's a time to see the results. So as of now, you can see region is the first column, country is the second column, and our pipeline and file name or file path is at the last column. So as soon as I refresh this once again, I mean execute this, this should change. Now you can see this has changed because at the moment when we execute the pipeline, first of all, it dropped the table because we have written, pre-copy script like this. Here is the pre-copy script where it is. Okay, sync. In sync, we can see the pre-copy script because before copying the data from source to sync, it will execute this command. Where it will execute this command in this database because we are using sync database as a SQL DB. So it will first drop the table, right? And then because we are choosing auto create option, so every time it will auto create the table, right? So that's the reason we are using this pre-copy script as drop the table. So we are dropping the entire table. We are deleting this table, right? And because we did some changing in our mapping structure, we have moved the column on the upward direction. So whenever it is creating the table within the SQL, it is generating with columns, new columns or new position of that column, right? Understood? So this is the overall concept. So at this moment now we have completed this demo for additional columns and this is very helpful and covers all the possible scenarios. Okay, so thank you.